What's up, guys? My
Hey,
name's
guys.
Jacob. I'm here with my boy Clay, and we're bringing you your weekly content. We're going to do something a little bit different today. As you see, we've changed locations. Normally, we're in the This Gen corner or somewhere indoors, but we got the church right behind us looking all majestic and wonderful.
It is like a unicorn of buildings.
But something's even more different today. Today, we're going to be having our conversation from these two homemade ice tubs. So, me and Clay are going to have our entire conversation from these ice tubs. Are
I'm
you
not
ready?
looking forward to it. No, this is going to be awful.
You ready?
This is going to be absolutely terrible. We got people watching us and everything
See,
right now.
it's not a coincidence that we're talking about hurt people this week because me and Clay are about to hurt a little bit. So,
Are we just going to do it?
let's just do this thing.
Woo, woo.
Whoop, whoop.
What's the method? Oh, just let me first.
This is out.
Terrible idea, Jacob. Why did we do this?
Okay.
What's your sit technique?
People are watching us like, what's wrong? No, Clay. Let's try to have a conversation in this ice water.
Put our feet in and we're a terrible idea.
Screaming right into the mic. Okay. So Clay,
What's up, buddy?
ooh, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during the quarantine?
Creating content and hating my life.
Samesies.
I want to throw up. It's that cold.
Why did we do this all the time in college?
I haven't done this since football, freshman year of college.
What
What was you? Football, college as well?
All right. It's important to control your breathing. So, Clay, next question.
Yep.
Oh,
Hurry up!
what is your most painful injury you've ever had?
This! No, I'm just kidding. One time in high school, I strained my butt jumping to block a pass, and I just pulled my left butt cheek muscle, man. It hurt so bad. But, like, it wasn't, like, the kind of pain that, like, hurt. It was just, like, every step was just, like, a little pinch. You ever get your butt pinched with every step you've taken?
Butt pinches are terrible.
Terrible.
Oh.
What about you for stories that you can tell?
Yeah, I can't tell my most painful one. Oh gosh. One time I was running down on a kickoff in a college football game, and I hit a guy so hard, the entire left side of my body went numb.
I think you had a stroke, bro. Oh, that's a heart attack. It's one of those two.
Ah!
I'm being completely honest, though. It's starting not to be. I've hit the point of numbness.
No, it's right in my midsection. Like, my torso is
My left hammy.
struggling.
Left hammy is hurting bad right now.
Okay, so this week
Why is the drive-thru the most busy it's been all day right now?
we're talking about hurt people.
Yep.
So, Clay, what would you define as someone who is hurting or a hurt person?
I think hurt's subjective to whoever you are. Like, I don't think there's a specific answer one way or the other. If you're hurt, you're hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be spiritual hurting. It could be physical hurting. It could be emotionally hurting. Hurt is hurt. Pain is pain.
I think that's pretty good.
Thank you.
This week we're talking about Luke chapter 5, verses 17 through 26.
Is that the paralyzed man?
Yeah, if you're not familiar with it,
Yep.
there are these 4 friends who have this friend who is
My
paralyzed.
armpit hurts so bad right now.
He's been paralyzed
sank too
from
deep.
birth. Why'd you adjust?
Bad choice.
So, oh gosh.
Oh, my thighs are cold now.
Oh, I forgot my question, but
This is the best content we've ever filmed.
so if you've ever been hurt, sometimes it can feel like you're almost in a pit,
Yep.
and you become so accustomed to that pit that you allow yourself to operate from a deficit.
Yep.
And we get so comfortable with that pain and that pit that we don't allow ourselves to come up out of the pit, or we don't allow people to help us.
Yep.
So what do you think the significance of there being 4 friends there to help him.
I think that's everything when you're hurting. The last thing you need when you're hurting is to be by yourself. Like, I really do think that's the key to everything.
I'm
Like,
glad we're doing this together. Woo!
Yeah.
Ah,
I couldn't do this by myself. I couldn't do this by myself. It'd be awful. I mean, it already is awful, but I mean, think about it. You know, it's you can't deal with pain by yourself.
Mhm.
What do you do when you're a little kid and you get hurt? You run to mom or dad, right? What do you do when you get hurt as an adult physically? You go to the doctor if you like break a bone, right? It's the same thing with everything else in life. You go to someone else to help you. You have to, otherwise you'll never get through it. I think about this scenario in a very spiritual way. This guy, he was this paralyzed man. He was hurting. You know, he's in this bad place. Well, he's got his 4 bros there to help him out. If he didn't have his 4 bros to help him out, he's not going to be able to get to Jesus.
Yep.
It's impossible.
Yep. And have you ever tried to carry someone who's dead weight by yourself?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's the worst.
That's my go-to wrestling move. I just dead weight people. No bones them.
No bones and fish them. But I think that's an awesome point because it's so much easier to get through pain and hurt and tragedy with community.
Yeah.
Like, 1,000%. And I think people who are going through depression, who are going through hurt, or whatever their hurt may be, the worst thing is isolation.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think it's so crucial for people to have that community. If you don't have that community, you have to find it.
Yep.
And I think going on in the story, after Jesus heals the man, he based, like, the Pharisees who are watching on, the religious leaders are like, hey, you can't do that. That's blasphemy. Like, what are you doing? Like, but kind of like last week with the older brother in the parable of the lost son,
Yep.
like, sometimes people can get, like, almost like butt hurt when, like, hurt people or people who have hurt others find that help and find that joy and that hope. How can we avoid becoming like the Pharisees or like the older brother in the parable of the lost son and focus on the right thing in the situation?
I mean, I think it's a lot about perspective. Because what I think about those guys in both stories, I mean, they had their own hurts that they were dealing with that they chose to ignore. Like, I don't know what exactly is going on in those Pharisees' life. We don't know.
Yep.
But everybody has some sort of hurt in their life. Everybody's going through some sort of struggle. Everyone's going through something, right? It's when we forget that we are going through struggle that's when we start to project other people's struggles. Like, oh, did you hear what that person did? And honestly, a lot of times it's hiding it's a deflector for our own, right? And that's really important for me and you, I think, especially as we as we work in churches, you know, as we work for the church, it's easy. We deal with people's problems all the time, right? And we're always trying to help them and fix it. And I love that we get to do that. But if we're not careful, we'll turn into the Pharisees real quick because we'll ignore all the problems that we actually have that people may not see, but we know are there, and then we project other people's hurt to be worse than our own.
Yep. And the last thing, kind of like moving on, because this is horrible.
I'm going to be completely honest. I'm kind of numb now. It feels kind of nice.
My hamstrings are still burning. But
the hammies.
The last part of the story, Jesus tells the man to pick up his mat and go home.
Yep.
What do you think the significance of Jesus telling the guy to pick up his mat and go home after he went through that hurt?
The story doesn't end there. I think a lot of times we think that once our hurt is gone, that's when the story ends, but that's not the case at all. There's a whole bunch of life left to live. There's a whole bunch of life to experience. There's a whole bunch of people to share that with. Like, there's people, I'm sure that guy went and told other people that were just like him what had happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the significance of it. If he just said, hey, you're healed, the hurt's gone, and he kept living the same way, but just without the pain, I mean, what did you gain from that? You gained nothing, right?
Yep.
And it's ironic that sometimes pain and hurt can actually help us. I'm not saying all hurt and pain helps us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that. Sometimes pain just sucks, and that's what it is. But there are times where it does help us. I think this is a great example, Jacob.
Yep.
Like, you know science stuff. What's the purpose of this? Because it hurts real bad, but what's the actual, like, scientific purpose of it?
So ice baths are great for basically just reconnecting the sinews in your muscles to help you recover. It's the reason why college athletes and just athletes all over the world, they do ice baths because it helps speed up the recovery process.
Yeah.
And so even though it sucks at the time, once you get out of here, you feel so refreshed. You feel less sore. You're able to like basically go back out there and get to it. So it's like
Yeah.
you go through the pain, it makes you stronger, so that way you
Yep.
can face life's next challenge.
And that's not us saying that every hurt has a purpose. I don't want to say that
Yeah.
ever, right? Because sometimes just being in the sinful, hurtful, broken world, it's just going to be bad, right?
Some
There's
things
just
we can't
times-
explain.
Right. But there are times when the hurt actually brings something good in us. I would love to see what this guy. We have little context outside of this story for this guy, but I would love to see what this guy's before and after looks like with his mentality.
That'd be neat.
I would be very fascinated with it, and that's what I think we all have to realize. Like, there's always a before and there's always an after, and during the dinner we got to figure out, man, how can I get to Jesus?
Yep.
And I think the biggest way people get to Jesus is, like you said, through community.
Yep.
Get people in your life that can help you get to Jesus.
Yep.
And then also be the people that help people to get to Jesus.
Yep. And guys, that's where we're gonna leave off today. During this season, it can be so hard to get into community because we're not allowed to be in large gatherings like we
Yep.
typically are. But it's so important to make sure that you stay connected, whether it's through our app, whether it's through social media, whether it's through Zoom, which we've been doing through our high school
The
and middle
Zooms
school
last week's
Oh, it
from
was
high school, middle
amazing.
school were dope.
But guys, just because we can't see you in person doesn't mean that like Clay and I and the staff aren't here for you. So if you ever need someone just to shoot the breeze with, hit us up. We'd love to talk with you
Love to
because
chat.
I'm horribly extroverted, so I'm struggling during this time. So I need human interaction. Guys, be the person that carries the mat and go help your friends because this is a unprecedented time
Unprecedented. A lot of people hurting right now.
where we have opportunities we normally wouldn't have. And there's no awkwardness of inviting someone to church because all you have to do is send them a link.
Yeah,
Like-
it's about the least awkward you could possibly have this season.
But we love you guys, and we're going to get out of these ice baths because I've actually become completely numb at this point.
We're gonna feel great after this,
Yeah,
though.
we're going to feel wonderful, and we're going to go film some more videos for you guys. So we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
See you guys.
Oh, the water dripping all over me.